Greetings everyone, peace to you all. Welcome to another episode of Praiseworthy Reviews, where we go through video games to see if they're excellent and commendable. Today, we will be reviewing Animalwell, a minimalist puzzle game by solo developer Billy Basso. Players play as a literal slime ball, or some sort of slime blob, running around and solving puzzles throughout the titular Animalwell. As usual, we will be evaluating the game based on 5 criteria: fun factor, educational value, cultural value, spiritual value, and cost. For context, prior to this review, I have finished the game to the credits. So without further ado, let's jump in. The core focus of the gameplay in Animalwell are puzzles, platforming, and exploration. There are a number of toy-themed items, like a bubble wand or a frisbee, that can help players solve puzzles. All of these have more than one use, and many of the uses are unclear until you are in the right context. Puzzles are heavily focused on experimentation, with the game telling you very little about objectives, story, or any tools that can help you to progress. There are no tooltips, no NPCs, no encyclopedias. Instead, players are expected to explore the well, looking for different items that will allow them to solve puzzles and go further. Almost every room has a puzzle involving the use of said items, but some puzzles are more than just the puzzle itself. There may be ghosts or animals that can harm you and cause you to have to start at your last save point. Some puzzles require you to move around in certain ways, which brings us to the next gameplay mechanic, platforming. In my opinion, the platforming in the game is generally not too bad, with the exception of one very specific type of platforming. One of the items requires you to be able to do a lot of platforming with the item, which was initially a turnoff for me. For a while, I actually thought that I was not going to be able to beat this game due to the weird platforming you need to be able to do with the item, but eventually I was able to figure it out. Platforming is often about making a number of successive moves without messing it up, and in some areas, the platforming is about speed. Besides puzzles and platforming, exploration also plays an important role in the game. Some puzzles cannot be solved immediately without certain items, which encourages you to explore. Besides the main items, finding keys, matches, and eggs also can aid you, with keys being generally required and matches and eggs being optional but helpful. There is a map which helps with exploration, but some things are not obvious from the map, like hidden areas. Even after you find hidden areas, they are not always marked on the map. In addition, sometimes the map can change through in-game events, which is not very clear. Another irritation is that of darkness. You can't access the map in certain dark rooms, and in fact, even after you finish exploring the dark room, the contours of the room and objects within the dark room are not marked. This makes exploration often very irritating. The game provides in-game ways to mark up your map, but the interface feels cumbersome and unfun. I don't really want to spend my time marking up my map. Honestly, this might be a hot take, but I didn't find the game that fun. In fact, after one particularly annoying death, I stopped playing the game for a few months, despite being someone who generally finishes most games so I can make content. Overall, I'm going to give the game 3 stars for fun factor. As far as educational value is concerned, Animalwell is highly varying. Some puzzles are very simple, but I don't think that's necessarily bad. Many of them are obviously designed as scaffolding for helping players learn concepts for more difficult puzzles. For me, this type of scaling in difficulty is actually positive, with the game teaching you through the gameplay itself how to engage with its mechanics. Generally, I found the puzzles helpful as aids or creative in terms of what it was expecting you to do. There were a wide variety of puzzles, many of them that were quite clever. However, I don't think that they were quite as good as the general consensus seems to be. My main complaint was that there was one item that I felt had a critical use in the game that I would not have figured out if I didn't get stuck on a specific puzzle that needed you to know what the item can do. There is only one minor hint for it in the game, and it was kind of irritating because there's really the only thing I had to look up. There is no real way you can know how to activate the use of the item unless you already know what the item does. Still, I think that's a minor complaint in the big scheme of things, so overall, I'm going to give the game 4 stars for educational value. Animalwell's strongest area is probably its art. The pixel art, despite its relatively simplistic and minimalist style, is quite charming. The game does a good job of portraying small, blob-sized stuff reasonably well, and the portrayal of many of the animals are quite a treat. Most of the animations are just okay, but some of the animations for the animals, including the ghosts, are quite good. The music and the lack of it at different moments in the game is well done. The developers do a good job of using all of these things to create a powerful mood that is surprisingly unique, even with such a low resolution and such a small file size. There is no voice acting because there aren't really any characters. There's no story, which is quite disappointing but not unexpected given what the game is. The cultural impact for Animal Well has been quite strong for such a simple game. The game was very highly rated and was nominated for many awards, even though it didn't win any. Basso himself estimates that the game has sold about 650,000 copies as of August 2024. Overall, I'm going to assign 4 stars for its cultural value. As far as negative content is concerned, Animal Well, as a 2D retro pixel art game, has very little. There is minimal animal slime violence, no sex, no drugs, no crude language. The only thing that is even remotely questionable are the ghosts, which are generally not scary, but quite clearly ghosts. There's also no really positive content either, no positive portrayals or anything. It's just puzzles. There's no story, which means there will not be a biblical themes video for this game. Animal Well has an ESRB rating of E for everyone, which I think is just fine. Based on the generally neutral spiritual aspects, I'm going to give the game 3 stars for spiritual value. For the time poor, Animal Well can be finished in about 12 hours, although the speed at which people solve puzzles will vary. For the time rich, there are more things to do after you roll the credits. I didn't collect all the eggs, and there are some other secrets to solve, such as what to do about those cats in the cages. One thing I didn't like about Animal Well was how far apart the save points are. The game does suffer from long runbacks when trying to solve certain puzzles. Animal Well retails for $24.99 USD and can occasionally be found for 25% off, which I consider okay value. Overall, based on the content value and ease of completion, I'm going to give Animal Well 3 stars for cost. I picked up Animal Well because I wanted to know what the cultural buzz was about regarding this game. Occasionally I do like some puzzle games, but they are generally not my cup of tea, and Animal Well, despite its impressive accomplishments, was no different. I do appreciate that it is a solid puzzle game that does what it sets out to do, with tons of secret puzzles in an atmospheric environment. However, Animal Well struggled to keep my interest, and while it wasn't painful to play or anything, it just wasn't the deep well of innovative gameplay everyone made it out to be. Based on the criteria discussed in the video, I subjectively assign Animal Well the rating of sales selection. That's all I have for you in this video. Bless you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If this video blessed you in some way, please consider watching some of my other videos, subscribing, or sharing with me some of your thoughts in the comments below.